cataclysm in the Caribbean islands. Civil war conditions now grip Cuba's streets. The enraged populace has directly attacked the government's core. Cuba's Communist Party's main headquarters is burning fiercely. The entire city of Havana is shaking with cries and slogans. What breaking update is American media personality Benny Johnson giving about this incredible mass uprising?
Let's go directly to the screen now and see.
Cuba has been a third world hellscape for a very long time, and now it is about to fall. I'm telling you, I've read the tea leaves. I have done my own phone calls within the administration. I've followed the breadcrumbs. Cuba is about to collapse. They're about to change the governance of Cuba, and they're going to do it forever. Island-wide blackouts hit Cuba as new protests arise. This has been happening over the last 24 hours. Obviously, President Trump has often threatened Cuba and has said many, many times that Cuba is going to be next on the list. It's a failed nation, and we're going to do Iran before Cuba. Now that the Iran question is sort of wrapping up, the administration is looking to wrap up the last remaining Castro. This is Fidel Castro's brother, Raul Castro. He's about to be charged for the death of some individuals flying humanitarian missions in a plane. They were blown out of the sky by the Cuban military, and President Trump is promising that Cuba is next. Well, the first step would be to tell the people on the island that the Castros no longer have any power. The U.S. forces are moving to indict former Cuban President Raul Castro for downing a plane. This is the same playbook, of course, that they used with Maduro. They brought charges, and then they black bagged him, and they threw him in the back of a van, and they brought him to America. And maybe Cuba is being smart and trying to avoid that, and that's why the CIA director was there in Cuba yesterday. Now, this is something that shocked the world to see the American government planes landing in Havana. Cuba says CIA Chief Ratliff met with officials in Havana amid U.S. tensions. To see federal planes landing in the airport, to see our CIA director standing there in the middle of the government building in Havana, it was a sight to behold. And it looks like they're going to be seeing a lot from the skies as well, as it seems the invasion of Cuba has all but begun. Look at this. U.S. intelligence gathering flights are surging off of the coasts of Cuba. Since February 4th, the U.S. Navy and U.S. Air Force has conducted at least 25 such flights using manned aircraft and drones, most of them near the country's biggest cities, Havana and Santiago de Cuba. You can see here you have U.S. forces flights that can be tracked surrounding the island. Effectively swarming the island. U.S. military surveillance flights have been skyrocketing across the communist nation as I think the winds of change loom. U.S. intelligence gathering flights are surging off of Cuba, U.S. military and intelligence gathering. These are P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft, which are designed for surveillance and reconnaissance, while some are RC rivet joints, which specializes in signals intelligence gathering. Several MQ-4C Triton high-altitude reconnaissance drones have also been used. The U.S. military has ramped up surveillance missions around Cuba. Okay, this is exactly similar patterns and ramped up rhetoric by the Trump administration coincide with an uptick in publicly available surveillance flights. In the case of Venezuela, Trump announced the first U.S. strike on the alleged drug vessels in the Caribbean. They started doing the same thing. They started doing reconnaissance flights all around Caracas. These are the kind of planes that they're using. It's amazing. It's happening. It's happening. Trump says he's going to deal with Cuba soon. Meanwhile, CNN reports that they are flying planes all around Cuba, and Cuba is now asking the United States for help. No Republican has ever spoken to me about Cuba, which is a failed country heading in the wrong direction. Cuba is asking for help. We are going to talk. The Trump administration has been talking to Cuba. Again, like, this is a fascinating thing to see. John Ratcliffe here Cuba hasn't had an oil delivery in 6 weeks. Blackouts are back. Russia has stopped showing up. China will stop showing up. The U.S. is offering $100 million in aid. But the price is, of course, no more communism. You can see here the U.S. government planes, the United States of America, official jets landing in Cuba. Wild to see. Trump is growing impatient as Cuban regime clings to power. I don't know, man. If you can just drop in your CIA director and nothing really happens, and the locals can just film it outside of a cow field. If Russia and China are taken off the table, if Venezuela's gone, what other chance do you got? Delta Force, Night Stalkers, the guy who grabbed Maduro, are spotted training in Kansas City. They were last seen training here in April when Trump delivered his ultimatum to Cuba. Should the president be worried? Look at that. That's kind of cool. See that? It's like an op going on. Some training, right? Yeah. Downtown Kansas City. Similar to Havana? I don't know. And here's, of course, Marco Rubio standing in front of a map of Cuba here with the commander that would oversee a mission to seize the island. Very subtle. They're not going to be very subtle. U.S. Southern Command. They're not going to be very subtle. Marco Rubio, of course, who is Cuban, who speaks fluent Spanish, has called for regime change in Cuba. He suggests the delegation that met with the grandson of Fidel Castro made demands, like opening up the internet, releasing prisoners. So they're doing meetings. They're going to be arresting, potentially, Raul Castro. And we've seen this play before. President Trump has oft said that he's going to take over Cuba. He probably said this far more than he signaled anything in Venezuela or in Iran. And so I think you can just straight up count on it. Like, congratulations, Cuba. Your liberation is at hand. Here's President Trump, a couple minutes of President Trump making this promise.
One of the things that is happening, and I think you see it all the time, Howard, you've seen it, that Cuba is ready to fall.
Yes.
Cuba looks like it's ready to fall. I don't know if they're going to hold out. But Cuba now has no income. They got all of their income from Venezuela, from the Venezuelan oil. They're not getting any of it. And Cuba literally is ready to fall. And you have a lot of great Cuban Americans that are going to be very happy. An architect who's really talented, has done a lot of work for him. He's got a flair, a beautiful Hispanic flair in particular. And he comes from originally a place called Cuba, which we will be taking over almost immediately. No, Cuba's got problems. We'll finish one first. I like to finish a job. On the way back from Iran, we'll have one of our big, maybe the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier, the biggest in the world. We'll have that come in, stop about 100 yards offshore, and they'll say, "Thank you very much, we give up." Dealing, and it may be a friendly takeover. It may not be a friendly takeover. It wouldn't matter, because they're down to, as they say, fumes. They have no energy. They have no money. They're in deep trouble on a humanitarian basis. We're also looking forward to the great change that will soon be coming to Cuba. Cuba's at the end of the line. They're very much at the end of the line. They have no money. They have no oil. They have a bad philosophy. They have a bad regime that's been bad for a long time. Congratulations as well to co-owners Jorge and Jose Mas, who came from Cuba, right? Originally from Cuba. Huh? Your parents came. You're going to go back, huh? Yeah. It's going to be, and you won't need my approval. You just fly back in when I can just see that. It's going to be a great day, right? We're going to celebrate that separately. I just want to wait a couple of weeks. I wanted to wait a couple of weeks, but we'll be together again soon, I suspect. celebrating what's going on in Cuba. They want to make a deal so badly. You have no.
Benny Johnson's report alone proves just how much the situation has spiraled out of control. The Russia that for so long had fiercely protected Cuba has now abandoned it to the open sea. They have completely halted all oil supplies to Cuba. And with that, Cuba's entire power grid has completely collapsed in utter chaos. The entire nation of Cuba has plunged into history's darkest blackout. Food in refrigerators rotted, mile-long queues formed at petrol pumps, and people's anger turned into violent rebellion. But who truly ignited the fuse of this whole mess? Precisely at this moment of extreme crisis, the United States Justice Department has taken an absolutely unprecedented step. Against Cuba's immensely powerful and influential ruler, Raul Castro, an official charge sheet has been formally issued. And to the astonishment of everyone, the director of the United States Intelligence Agency, the CIA, personally arrived in Havana. Inside the country, there were intense protests, and outside, this masterstroke from the United States. In communist Cuba, is its very existence now perhaps just a matter of hours? Is the wheel of history truly turning? Will that red fortress built by Che Guevara and Fidel Castro be utterly destroyed forever in 2026? On social media, there's only one trend right now, and that's Pan Cuba Libre. What are your thoughts on this truly historic moment unfolding in Cuba? Is the collapse of the Castro regime now absolutely certain? Please share your valuable opinions by commenting below right now. And to be the first to receive all such incredibly captivating breaking news from the world of international politics, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you.